But I asked him, why did you choose me? And they said they wanted one blogger, so they've chosen an auto blogger, and they wanted one podcaster, and they chose you. And then I realized, in India, you can't go beyond your 10 fingers if I ask you to choose podcasters in India. Can you even think of 3 right now? So that was an important lesson. Choose an area that no one else is good, and go there and make a mark. Second instance, in Koturpuram, if you're traveling in Chennai, if you're Koturpuram, and at one point you will know that you're crossing the Adaya River, otherwise called Kuvam, right? But there's actually a difference between Kuvam and Adaya River, just by the smell of it. So even if you're sleeping, you will know you're crossing through that bridge. Okay? That is the only place where you can do rowing. Statistics, 114-year-old statistics show that in Chennai, at the Madras Rowing Club, people learn rowing the fastest. Do you know why? Because they don't want to fall inside. They will do whatever it takes to, and that's where I learned rowing. And there's something called the M&B Regatta, the Merchant and Bankers Regatta. It's about some 120-year-old competition that is meant for corporates. And so when I was in SIFI, we competed, and there were only all of 8 teams that participated. And then, over the last 5-6 years, the competition really became very, very popular. But the important thing I learned was that if I had taken up cricket, if I had taken up hockey, heck, even tennis, I really don't think, I would have really stood apart. I mean, I'll tell you what, I've learned the biggest life lessons as the captain of my team. We got thrashed, and when I tell you thrashed, it's an understatement, the first year when we went. You see, you're supposed to row straight from start to finish. We went like this, and then we finished. That bad. To winning the championship title every year from then on. To me, it was a path-breaking moment, the teamwork, the life lessons that I've learned out there. But the important thing was that rubbed off on my professional work. That rubbed off on my personal life, and that really boosted my confidence. It was a turning point in my life. In my college, I didn't even know how to spell sports. In my entire 4 years of college engineering life, I hadn't played any sport. So to me, this was really a turning point. So it's, again, the important thing is choose an area with lesser competition. This was actually a story that I read. The next story is one that I read about on the internet. It's about how to push yourself and expand yourself. Whatever you do, can you do better? And so the story goes on like that. And so the story goes like this, where they ask you to take a glass bowl. You guys know the story already? Right? They ask you to take this, and then they ask you to fill it with stones. And as you start to fill it with stones, and there comes a particular point where it gets filled up, and you can't go any more. It gets really. Why is it not filling up? Okay, just assume it's all filled up. Now, when it gets filled up, and they say, "Can you fill more?" The answer is no. And then they come out with small pebbles, and they fill it up. Assume. Can you do anything more? You can't. So what they do next, they take sand, what comes next? Yep. Water. Now, in this, for a long time I've heard this story before. I was explaining this to my kid, I was telling her, if you think you had enough, you can't do anything more, look at the big stones, look at the small pebbles, look at the sand. And all this time, this example to me always reflected how to push yourself. And I was explaining this, I was demoing this exactly the same way to my daughters. And my elder daughter said, do the other way around. Why don't you put the water first, and then the sand, and then it's stuck. Geez, this will not work if you do it the other way around. Can you? And then it stuck upon that this, an example that I knew all my life, suddenly struck me that it's also a lesson in really prioritizing what you want to do. What is the most important thing that you would like to do? Give that the importance. And I said, okay, now this is a lesson that I've learned. Can I see if I can apply it just for a couple of hours in my morning life? So that was an experiment that I started doing. For about 3 days, I looked at myself and said, what did I do in the morning as soon as I wake up? As soon as I wake up, almost the first impulsive thing that comes to me is switch on the computer and check your mails. The second impulsive thing is to take the newspaper and read. And then someone said, do the most important thing, high priority things first. Because when you get up, that's when your mind is freshest. And so for the next 3 days, I tried another trick, another pattern. I will not touch my computer, meaning that I will not go to emails. I will not read newspapers. The first thing I will do is do the things that gives the biggest bang for buck, the return on investment. So what I did was I looked at some of the activities I do. I send emails, I usually blog, and I also write 2 of my columns. What I did was I focused on the columns first. I will only work on the columns for the week. Because when you write a column, there are thousands and tens of thousands of people that it reaches. So that makes for a bigger impact. Your blog obviously has much smaller readership. Next comes blog. And the third are the emails, because these are one-to-one communication. So that was another important thing that I learned out there, prioritizing work. My mentor is a guy called Rajesh Sethi. Have you heard about him? No, I don't think so. He's a serial entrepreneur. He lives in California, San Jose. And he's a fantastic guy, a guy who I really look up to. And the reason why I look up to him is he's a serial entrepreneur. He truly believes in the passion. He builds building. He builds startup companies. He's also an investor. He invests in other companies. Third, he's also an author. And he's a fantastic speaker. Now, he's a guy that I look up to for a lot of advice, because he tells you as it is. And that's another one. Always get a mentor for yourself. A mentor is not the one who will make you comfortable, but he'll make you think. One life lesson that he said, I will take it to my grave, I will always take it to my grave, is anything that you do, think of a stool. Did I tell you this before? Think of a stool. If a stool had 1 leg, it will fall down. If it had 2, it will still fall down. If it had 3, it will stand up. 4, even better. So anything that you do, right now, I'm talking to you. And I insisted my talk be recorded. This entire talk, maybe about half hour, will get broken up into 5-minute segment. It will be uploaded on YouTube.